Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got a Fernandes Monterey on the bench. It's not quite a thrift store guitar, although I did meet a guy outside of a thrift store to buy it off of Facebook Marketplace. But it's actually really inexpensive, kind of little Les Paul style knockoff. Fernandes is a company that, for me anyway, got famous in the sort of mid to late 80s, maybe into the 90s, for making Stratocaster knockoffs that were pretty good. They still make high-end guitars even today, I believe. This is a lower-end guitar, and it has a few differences from a Les Paul. It's got a different shaped top horn. It's got a thinner waist. It's got a scallop along the edge of the body here, and it's scalloped on both sides, so it's actually sharpened, kind of like an axe. On the back side, obviously you can tell this is a bolt-on neck. It's a accessible bolt-on because it's not quite the square fender neck plate. Other than that, it's got a lot of similarities to a Les Paul, but we're going to take it apart, see what makes this thing up, and see if we can't clean it up and get it going. It looks like it's a Gibson scale. They put it at 24 3/4. I did take the back off. The pots are those miniature pots. The switch is an okay switch. The tuners are black chrome, sort of, which is kind of an interesting feature. The jack is a football style plate. Humbuckers look like DiMarzio knockoffs, and it'll be interesting to see what those are once I get everything apart. Well, the bridge looks like it's hollow, which is interesting. Tailpiece, rather. Bridge, no real markings on it. It is a black chrome sort of style. I'm really interested in these pickups, so that's where I'm going to go next. These are just knockoffs of DiMarzios. There's no markings of any kind on them. They have an interesting red bobbin on the bottom, or maybe that's a spacer. Definitely ceramic magnets. The adjustable pole pieces are only there for looks. They don't actually adjust. I'll get some resistance readings on these next. Alright, so this pickup is the bridge pickup, measuring about 12.2, and the neck pickup is actually a little hotter at 12.3, 12.4. So I think they're essentially the same pickup, and they're not directional, like they don't have screws on one side that should be closer to the bridge or whatever. So I guess next I'm going to just go ahead and do some general cleaning. Luckily with this guitar there's not been any real damage to it or anything, so I don't have any repairs to make. I've just got a general cleanup. I'm going to breeze through this off camera. Alright, well, everything's back together on the front side. I'm just going to shoot these pots really quickly with a little bit of cleaner and then work them back and forth. They were just a little bit sludgy. So the other thing I did inside the cavity here was just added a couple more zip ties to keep this extra cable up out of the way. Actually, one of the cables was interfering with the insertion of a guitar cable, and now I just need to button up the cavity covers. And a little bit more cleanup back here. So what's the story with this guitar? Well, I think it's probably late 2000s, early 2010s. The serial number starts with FG08, which I'm assuming is Fernandes Guitars 2008. My impressions of the guitar: it's got 22 frets. The fret job's pretty good. Got nice wide jumbo frets. Plastic nut. It's got pretty nice features to it. I mean, the neck feels nice. Kind of a gloss finish on it. Very thin profile. It's got a scarf joint right about the first or second fret. I mean, there's not much else to say about it. For strings on this thing, I'm just throwing some junk I've got on hand at it. I'm going to use a 9 for the first string, and then I've got a set of 12 to 62s that I will just never ever use. So I'm going to string the 12 through 48 as the 2nd through 6th strings on this guitar, and we'll go with that. It's just a bizarre set of strings that I'll never use otherwise. Okay, I'm going to do the rest of these off camera, but you get the idea, and we'll do the setup next. Alright, with the strings on, it's time for a setup. I can already tell this the action is a little bit too low, and if you got a guitar like mine that's set up the way it is right now, that's super low, You can hear some of those notes are barely even distinguishable. That's just kind of an indication of action that's too low. And if you check it with a ruler, and that's not even 3/64ths, so pretty darn low, so we're gonna have to raise that up. Let's see if that does any better. Yeah, much better. That was actually 3/64ths. I may leave this one kind of low just because it's such a shredder guitar. I think it needs a little help on this bass side. Probably a little bit more. All right, well, that's got the action in the ballpark anyway. Currently, it's just under 4/64ths at the 17th fret on the low E, and it's right about 3/64ths on the high E. Okay, well, that takes care of the action anyway. I will check the neck relief now. I probably should have done that first. Not gonna hurt to check it now. I'm gonna check for 10/1000ths at the 8th fret. I can tell it's slightly flatter than that. Let's just see what it is. Let's try 8/1000ths. I didn't check the radius of this thing. If the radius is flat, you can get away with less neck relief. Yeah, that's where it is. It's 8/1000ths right now. Let's take a quick look and see what this thing is. That's probably about a 12. I think we can get away with the 8/1000ths, so I'm not going to change it. All right, so we need to tune this thing back up again and check the intonation. All right, let's see where we're at with this high E. Okay, that's low, which means that saddle needs to move toward the nut. Still a bit low. All right, there we go. So that one's spot on. Let's go ahead and try some of the others. Also low. Oh, that's really close, but it needs a little bit more. There we go. With the screws behind the saddles, if your fretted note, your fretted 12th fret is sharp compared to the harmonic, then you tighten the screw. And if it's flat, you loosen the screw. So I'm just gonna do these other 4 off camera. All right, intonation done. And let's check one more thing, which is the bridge. What you need is a piece of paper's worth of space between the string and the bridge. And I don't have that. I'm talking about the back end of the bridge, by the way. So what you need to do if you don't have that is raise the tailpiece. Well, that looks about right. I've got to tune it back up now. All right, so you need to check the pickup height with the last fret depressed. Currently, this one is about 4/64ths and then 7 at the bridge. So I need to lower the neck pickup and raise the bridge pickup. And I'm doing that because I'm shooting for about 5/64ths, somewhere in there. You can go 6/64ths. It's really up to your ear at that point, but I know this one is way too high. All right, that's between 5 and 6. Yeah, right there. These need to raise up. All right, perfect. And then just to check to see if I'm in the ballpark on the pickup height, I just want to see how loud the neck pickup is versus the bridge. They're about the same. I think I could use a little bit more height on the bridge pickup on the treble side. All right, I'll get this thing tuned back up and then we can play it. Well, I think it's probably a bit loud on the humbucker side. sounds good on power chords, but it seems a little bit loud, at least on the high strings to me. I think I'll probably back the humbucker screws off a little bit, so I'll probably make the distance about 6/64, maybe even 7. So these humbuckers were like 12 kilo ohms or something like that. That's not surprising to me that they might need to be a little bit backed off. They're just super hot. I have to say, this is the first guitar I've played in a while that I really don't like the sound of the pickups up at full tone. And it's really because I think it's got too many highs in it, and it's really the hotness of the pickups, I think. So turned down just a 1/16 of a turn, it sounds right about right. Thankfully, it can get there with the tone control. All right, well, thanks a lot for hanging with me on this project. It's really not been much of a project because it's been a fairly clean guitar and a fairly good setup, but I appreciate you hanging with me anyway, and I thank you all for the likes and the comments, and I really appreciate the subscriptions, and I'll see you guys next time.